So I'm recording this video because I think it might help other chaps out there that are about to do the same thing as I am or are contemplating the same thing as I am. So I'm just outside the Spa Medical Centre in Melksham and I'm about to have a vasectomy. So I have some idea what this is all about, but to be honest, I have not done a great deal of research on it deliberately. I've spoken to a couple of other guys that have had it done. One guy seemed more interested in telling me his scary story than he did to try and prepare me for it. I have to say, I really genuinely don't have any apprehension about this. This is something that I want to do. It's something that my wife and I had discussed. I'm now 45. We won't be having any more children out of choice, so it seems like the right course of action. So I will let you guys know afterwards how this all goes and what it feels like and whether or not I've got buster gonads and need a wheelbarrow in order to move those around. I don't know what will happen, but either way, stand by. I'm still here. I'm alive. Yeah, so that wasn't as bad. To be honest, I didn't even think it was going to be bad. It certainly wasn't an issue. The surgeon was very good, as was his assistant. Very good at trying to keep you calm, etc., etc. I certainly didn't feel any apprehension until I was on the operating table. Obviously, they have to inject your scrotum. So there was that. It was more, I think, just the thought of them sticking the needle in rather than the needle itself, because once the needle was in, it was fine. He apparently had a slight complication with my right ball. Quite why, I don't know, but it wasn't an issue. It just took him a little bit longer than he was expecting to sort it out. So, yeah, I mean, it really wasn't any issue. I don't feel any pain presently. He did say that he would like me to take painkillers. I did say to him, that's not me. I don't like doing that. And he said, well, they have done some studies and they've discovered that actually by a patient taking painkillers, at least for, say, 48 hours, that does reduce the risk of getting any chronic pain long term. So, yeah, I will probably take some paracetamol at his request. Now I have 4 months to wait. At the end of 4 months, I'm supposed to provide a sample. And that is it. Job done. So, like I said, it was very easy. I don't know how long I was in there for, maybe an hour max. I will provide a further video maybe in a week or so's time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Right. A week and 3 days in, final report. It almost seems silly now reporting on this whole vasectomy thing because it was simple. I haven't experienced any pain. You feel uncomfortable down there, but only in the sense that you notice things have swollen somewhat. But it's certainly not a buster gonad moment for those of you who used to read Viz back in the day. For those of you who don't, this was a character in a comic that had such large nuts that he had to use a wheelbarrow to walk around town. Yeah, so this was very easy, and I'm not saying that in an arrogant fashion, but more in a matter-of-fact fashion. But a few things I think to mention. So the surgeon, if you choose to go down this route, the surgeon will tell you a few statistical figures based on what could go wrong. But I think, you know, if you're going to be under a local anesthetic for any sort of injury or any kind of problem to do with your body, you will be given these statistics anyway, so he had to do that. He also stated that he wanted me to continue with painkillers for a few days. He also stated don't exercise, and he said avoid warm baths, warm showers. Now, of course, if you have been following my journey, there's no issue there. For those that haven't been following my journey,
I subscribe to cold therapy, so I don't have warm baths, and I occasionally, very, very occasionally, have a warm shower, but that is immediately followed by a cold shower. So, yeah, obviously for a couple of days you notice things are different down there. Now, I will have to add, for the most part, what some might consider tenderness, I haven't. And actually, because obviously you've got some swelling, I've only really experienced a kind of a tingling sensation, which has actually been rather nice. So there's that. That's not a reason to do it, of course. I ignored the surgeon's statements that you shouldn't exercise. So for the first couple of days, I did take paracetamol, 4 in total, 2 one day, 2 the next. But only because he'd stated that those that had taken paracetamol in the first couple of days were less likely to experience chronic pain long term. So again, these are very, very low statistics, but apparently there have been the odd case of individuals that have had long-term chronic pain issues following this. Again, you know, this is that whole statistical thing. The chances of you getting that are very slim, but a way of minimizing those chances are to apparently take painkillers at least for the first 2 or 3 days, which I did, but I kept it to an absolute minimum because I don't like taking any form of medication. So yeah, so first couple of days I did that. I then, on the Sunday, so I had it on the Friday, on the Sunday, I then resumed my exercise practice. I kept it gentle. So again, I kind of ignored the whole wait 7 days thing because I genuinely believed slowly pumping extra blood around that area can only be a good thing. So I did do yoga headstands, very gently, obviously. I did continue the other bits of yoga that I do, and I follow at the moment the 5 Tibetan rites. For those that do or don't know what it is, go and check it out. Again, I did it all very gently. I was mindful, obviously, of the core elements of those exercises, so I didn't do so much of those. 3rd day in, I continued with my breath hold press-ups. So for those, again, that do follow my journey, and for those that do follow the Wim Hof method, you'll know what the breath hold press-ups are. So I continued with those and have done every day. Last couple of days, I've done a little bit of jogging around with Winston. I had an interesting moment where my 4-year-old son decided to hit me in that area. But to be honest, I would have felt the same had I not had a vasectomy. So again, nothing really to be concerned about there. So really, as a last point, going back to the couple of things that you need to be aware of, there are these interesting moments beforehand where you're given the statistics about what could go wrong. The surgeon, by the way, had a good bedside manner, very nice chap. The slightly odd moments were, of course, you're on the table and somebody is putting a local anesthetic into your nuts. I have to say that's not a nice experience, but only because somebody down there is playing with those bits and sticking a needle in them. It's not particularly painful and it's over with very quickly. It's more just, I'd rather you didn't, thank you very much, kind of feeling. And the other slightly odd thing, of course, is you have a nurse, be that male or female. I had a female nurse whom sat to the left of me whilst the whole process was going on, trying to engage me in some, what I call inconsequential language. So obviously I regaled her stories of the Wim Hof method. And that was slightly odd, but you know, and she certainly helped being there because it made you feel better. But you know what? I'd prepared myself for all of this, and I had actually prepared myself for the worst, which I think is probably worthwhile you're doing, because it really isn't that bad at all. So during the experience, I didn't feel anxious at all. I felt very calm. I'd utilized a few methods in order to prepare myself for it. I think, to be honest, doing this helps. You know, the before and after videos help. As I've said to you before, this YouTube channel can sometimes act like therapy for me. A final statement. For those that have considered it, you needn't put it off. It's very easy. It's very simple. It's over with quickly. What I've experienced the few days afterwards, it is nothing at all. Wives and partners looking for payback, you're not going to get that with this. It's nothing at all. And I think, in my opinion, if you practice cold therapy and breathing methods like I do, you can accelerate the healing process and make that whole recovery period much quicker, much simpler. So, Evolution of Dave signing off. Thank you for watching.